Hi all, Nick Watts here for We Love Betting. I'm back after my stag do interlude in Bratislava. My liver taken enough abuse now, and I'm back on We Love Betting duty, back scouring for value, just like I did a couple of weeks ago. And I got 2 out of 3, which was not too bad at all. A few of you missed me last week, and I appreciate that. You know, when I've got 5 out of the last 6, I'd hope you missed me a little bit, at least, maybe. Anyway, one thing I do remember from last time out was that Reading did their best to sabotage my efforts. I had them in the draw no bet market, which fell flat on its face, and I had over 2.5 goals, which, thanks to Wigan, not Reading, cashed in nicely. That over 2.5 goals has led me to one of my picks this week, though, in that I'm going back to another Reading game. They're playing Aston Villa in another 6-point crunch clash down at the wrong end of the table, and there's just an absolute bevy of stats that support this over 2.5 goals mark again, and it's actually a bit of a juicy price as well. Same stats apply really as the Wigan game, in as much that Reading conceded 54 goals overall. They've got the second worst defence in the Premier League as a result of that. They've conceded in the last 8 matches in 79% of home games. In fact, 71% of their home games have paid out in that over 2.5 goals mark, and the last 8 overall have also done so. At the Medeski Stadium, the average goals per game is actually at 3.5. So if you're interested in the over 3.5 market, go for it, to be honest. But I'm sticking with a little bit more of a safety net with the over 2.5. Villa fit into it absolutely perfectly too. 57% of their away games have seen that 3 goal or more mark met. They've conceded in 12 straight away. In their last 6 games, they've got the worst defensive record over that spell, conceding 18 goals. And overall, they conceded 53. Of course, only one better off, I suppose, than Reading. That's the 18th best defence. Wigan, the only side that's got worse defence than either of these two. 6 of their last 8 overall have paid out in the over 2.5 goals. And if that's not enough for you, I'm not sure what is, quite frankly, especially when you consider that you can get 17 to 20 for over 2.5 in this game. It's another great price considering the stats, and I'm all over it. Game number 2 then, and both my second games are on Sunday here, so a bit of a wait. But the juicy prices, in my opinion, just looking at the match prices for both of them, made them stand out. Newcastle home to Stoke for the first one, 10 to 11 to beat a Stoke side in somewhat disarray, it has to be said. But let's start with Newcastle and the fact that they've been revitalised, haven't they, by this January transfer window. Some really impressive signings, Sissoko and co, all living up to their billing and probably paid off their minuscule, I should say, price tags already, really, haven't they? Okay, they lost to Swansea last time out. By all accounts, really unlucky to lose that game. Dominated much of the play, hit the woodwork. Really, really unfortunate. You know, 1-3, lost 1 in the 4 games prior to that, and of course include that victory over Chelsea. Looked really good, scored 10 goals in that period, and as I say, unlucky not to add to that in the Swansea game too. Only Arsenal, Man United and Liverpool have actually scored more goals than them over the last 6 games. I think it's 11 in total they've got in that spell. So impressive stuff from Newcastle. At home, they've won the last 2. 73% of their points have been collected at St James's Park, and the home record versus 9th and below is 1-5, drawn 1 and lost 2. So just that in itself, in isolation, the positive feeling about the club generally, the fact that they're stronger at home clearly, and that they're a side better than their position, better than their league position for sure, without a doubt. Just enough for me. But then when you take Stoke into consideration as well, they're rock bottom of the overall form table with 1-1, drawn 1, lost 4 of the last 6. Look at the away form table over the last 6, 1-0, drawn 2, lost 4. Again, rock bottom. And you know, this is because Stoke are a side built on their defence, where they were really, really great at the start of the year. Clean sheet kings in many a fantasy team with the likes of Ryan Shawcross and Robert Huth, but chuck them out now, people, because they're now gone 10 games without keeping a clean sheet. I think Newcastle will definitely score some goals in this game. They've looked great going forward recently. 10-11, just too good to turn down. Third and final game then, and it's time to sound the Liverpool too short klaxon. Once again, they're an incredible price here. Looking at it here on Thursday night, 18-19, bit of a weird one. But yeah, odds on to beat Spurs, informed Spurs. It doesn't make sense. I just can't get my head around it at all. Hands up, Liverpool are in great form. I'll give them credit for that. It's the prices that I'm just bemused at, not anything specifically to do with Liverpool themselves. They have scored the most goals in the last 6 with 18. They're fourth in the form table with won 3, drawn 2 and lost 1. And of course Luis Suarez making his case for Player of the Year. 15 goals in the last 15 games and 6 in the last 3. Both of those stats from all competitions. Spurs though, they've won 4 on the bounce. They're undefeated in 12 games. And they're just looking like a side that's destined for the top 4, possibly better. They're chasing on the coattails of Man City. Gareth Bale is their star in form with 10 goals in his last 8 games in all competitions. And of course they're second in the form table behind only Manchester United. So two great sides in terms of their form, but the prices don't really seem to sync with that. The record versus the big teams only kind of emphasises that even more for me, in as much that, yeah, Liverpool have ended this hoodoo against top 10 sides. They beat Swansea, of course, a Swansea side just before the Capital One Cup final, I might add, and Fulham have crept into the top 10 since we were talking about that record in January. But they're yet to beat a top 6 side, home or away. They've drawn 5, lost 4 against that group of teams. Spurs haven't got a great record against those sides. They've won 2, drawn 1, lost 4. But against sides below that, which of course Liverpool are, away from home they're won 7, drawn 2 and lost 1. And overall their away record second only to Man United. So, a lot of positives in Spurs' favour. They're in absolutely buoyant form. Then you've got the head-to-head, which Spurs dominated in recent years as well. They've won 6 of the last 8 meetings. There was, I think, there was a 1 draw in there and 1 win for Liverpool in those 8 meetings. Aggregate score of 12-5 to Spurs, and it's just astounding that you can get Spurs at 3-1 and bigger. You can get the draw at 3-1, which I probably think is the most likely result. But hey, at 10-11, Spurs double chance, absolutely astounding price. And I'm all over that as well. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going in. So to recap then, it's good old trusty Reading games and over 2.5 goals. Reading Aston Villa 17-20 you'll get for over 2.5. Newcastle to beat Stoke on Sunday 10-11 as things stand. And Liverpool Spurs in the third game. Spurs double chance at 10-11 as well.